Ohma continues his training to prepare for a match with Shen Wulong, with 5 of his friends he specifically chose to fight. He has bested both Lu and Toa so far, but can he keep up his streak with the remaining 3? Let's find out in this chapter of Kengan Omega. Returning to the training session, Lu Dongcheng advances toward Ohma, who swiftly kicks him in the stomach, stopping him in his tracks. Kureshi then tells them to stop, as the timer on his stopwatch beeps, signaling it's time to switch. Lu admits the spar was tough, saying Ohma wouldn't let him move the way he wanted. Takuno checks in, asking if he's alright. Lu replies, "Watch out for Ohma, he's not the same Takeda Ohma you once knew, he's a whole different beast now." Ohma then tells the group they've reached the halfway point and asks, "Who's next?" Kureshi steps forward to take on the challenge. Ohma comments, "I thought you'd be the one to bring up the rear." Kureshi replies, "Nah, I think I'll let Narushima have that honor, he's got seniority, after all. Not to mention, we're just renting this dojo." Kureshi Mitsuyo is a mixed martial artist at the top of his class in middle to lightweight MMA and the master of Cosmo, the king of stranglers. As they both take their stances, Ohma admits, "I've been meaning to fight you for some time now, Kureshi." Kureshi responds with a smirk, "Come on, I'm just a wholesome public martial artist, remember?" "Wholesome, gimme a break," Ohma scoffs. Sarcastically, Kureshi adds, "No, seriously, I'm just your average nice guy." Takuno holds the timer in his hands and asks if they're both ready, then kicks off the session. As the spar begins, Ohma notes that he has the bigger build, but Kureshi being Cosmo's master, he's clearly no slouch, and wonders what kind of stunt Kureshi might pull. Suddenly, Kureshi shimmies left and right, then rushes forward with a low stance, aiming for a takedown. Ohma, sensing a bluff, prepares himself. Kureshi strikes, but it's another feint. Ohma blocks the punch, only to have Kureshi grab his wrist mid-motion. "You didn't see that coming, did you?" Kureshi taunts. He twirls and locks Ohma's arm. Lu watches with concern, wondering if Kureshi is trying to break it. Toa, meanwhile, is impressed by Kureshi's skill. Ohma tenses the muscles in his arm, activating his adamantine kata, indestructible. He grins, "You sly old fox, you've finally shown your true colors." He strikes back with his free arm, but Kureshi releases his grip just in time, causing Ohma to stumble slightly. Impressed, Ohma says, "You've got some tricks up your sleeve." Kureshi replies modestly, "It's just wisdom that comes with age, so it's no big deal." Ohma then points out that they only have 3 minutes, so they better get cracking. Kureshi understands, and they both rush in. Ohma activates his Nico style, flame kata raging fire, and attacks. Kureshi dodges and slips behind Ohma, grabbing him by the waist. Ohma knows he should be faster and stronger, but it's the gap in experience that's making the real difference. Observing from the sidelines, Takuno notes that Kureshi has the upper hand in grappling. However, Narushima points out that Ohma is giving it his all and Kureshi seems to be having a bit of trouble. Ohma elbows Kureshi in the back, trying to shake him off, but Kureshi sweeps Ohma's foot, taking him down. He quickly traps Ohma and begins choking him. "Damn, you're really tough," Kureshi says, "wish you'd let me score a point already." "As if I'm going to make it easy," Ohma retorts. Ohma then grabs Kureshi's forearm and grips it tightly, causing him to squeal in pain. That gives Ohma the opening he needs to kick Kureshi off his back. Lu watches closely and realizes that Ohma isn't going to guard from that position, which means he's done with grappling. Kureshi chuckles. "You're not going to play along? That's just mean." They both advance toward each other again. This time, Ohma strikes Kureshi in the face, then uses his water and adamantine kata swimming swallow to unleash a barrage of rapid attacks. Kureshi holds up his defense, trying to block the flurry. Takuno comments that the fight is starting to look one-sided and asks Narushima if he should stop the match. Narushima considers it, but then notices something, and says, "No, that won't be necessary." Kureshi has gotten a hold of Ohma's wrists. Before Kureshi can pull off another trick, Ohma quickly drives a knee into his gut, forcing him to release his grip. Kureshi shouts in pain, playfully, "That one really smarts." He adds, "You're a tough one to crack, Ohma. I'm really starting to get sick of this." Ohma replies, "That's rich, considering you tried to break my wrist." But Kureshi tells him that he doesn't get it, and states that he is tired of playing coy. Ohma states, "I'm fine with that, give me everything you've got." Kureshi then rushes to Ohma, continuously striking, but Ohma blocks them all, and manages to grab Kureshi's arm. However, Kureshi quickly flings his arm aggressively, as a cracking sound is heard. Lu, seeing that they both are taking this sparring session too far, shouts, "What are you guys doing? This is supposed to be a sparring match, not a fight to the death where anything goes." Kureshi had dislocated his elbow, which impresses Toa, seeing that Kureshi had managed to launch a counterattack and dislocate his elbow. Intrigued, Kureshi asks Ohma about the name of the arm lock technique he just used, since he thought breaking bones was his forte. Ohma tells him that the move doesn't have a name and points out that there's a lot of techniques in the Nico style that are unnamed. Kureshi tells Ohma that his fighting style is interesting and would love to have a chat about the techniques he's utilizing. To which Ohma says that he wouldn't mind having that discussion. In his thoughts, he compliments Kureshi, calling him a specialist, whose skill is on another level. Kureshi then relocates his elbow, as he then notifies Ohma that he is ready to go. Ohma responds, saying that he knew that Kureshi had dislocated his elbow before he could break it. Kureshi tells him that he is spot on, and has a knack for doing stuff like that. He then thanked Ohma, saying, "It's been a long time that I've been able to cut loose like this." To which Ohma replies, "I guess you can't let Cosmo and Adam see you like this, which must be a drawback of being a master." Lu warns them to not go into their own little world. He turns to Narushima and asks him if he's not going to stop them, but Narushima tells Lu not to worry, as he knows that Kureshi has a lot more self-control than he looks, so he's quite sure that everything is fine. He then tells Lu not to hold him to this, and again states that everything should be fine. However, this leaves Lu even more concerned than before. Ohma notes that Kureshi has less than half the power of Toa, and Lu has the upper hand in terms of overall technique. But he admits that Kureshi is by far the most frightening one. He then wonders when it was the last time he had such a scary fight. Kureshi rushes towards Ohma again and grabs his wrist, and attempts to break it, but Ohma punches him in the face. This doesn't deter Kureshi as he maintains his grip on Ohma's wrist, and slams him into the ground. He then transitions into an armbar, but Ohma quickly shifts his body and strikes Kureshi, knocking him off and away from him. Kureshi then asks Ohma if he's okay with making this more than a sparring match. Ohma tells him to bring it on and finish this fight. However, their time unfortunately runs out as Takuno tells them to settle down. Kureshi admits that he went too far and apologizes to Ohma. Ohma tells him it's okay, as he also admits that he was also taking things too far. He lastly tells Kureshi that they can continue this some other time. Kureshi then walks over to the others and apologizes for his behavior. Narushima scolds him, stating that this is supposed to be a sparring match, not a fight to the death where anything goes. Hearing Narushima repeat his earlier warnings word for word, bar for bar, Lu gets annoyed that Narushima copied him. Kureshi again apologizes for his behavior, but admits that he had a good time. But he sadistically wishes that he could have broken Ohma's bones. Next up is Takuno, who asks Ohma if he wants to take a break. Ohma admits that fighting 4 guys back to back is exhausting, but he doesn't want to take a break as he had been itching to fight Takuno as well. Takuno acknowledges Ohma's strength and decides he will come at him with everything he has. Takuno Tokumikai is a novelist writing under the pen name Anamichi Nitoku on the side of fighting in Kengan matches. A critic once reviewed his self-proclaimed magnum opus Blade of the Mandrake, stating, "It was pure agony." Ohma tells Takuno that he's ready when he is. Lu notes that Ohma is going to have a hard time against Takuno if he fights him head-on. Narushima also adds that he knows that Takuno will definitely try to shift into grappling, which be a problem for Ohma if he follows along with it. He also points out that Takuno will want to avoid a striking fight, so he'll want to set the pace of the match as quickly as possible, but Narushima knows that Takeda is not going to let him take the initiative that easily. Lu is impressed that Narushima was able to read ahead that far, while Toa realizes why Narushima is considered one of the top karate practitioners in all of Japan. He deduces that Narushima acts like a fool as a bluff, but now he's showing his true colors. Narushima then turns to Kureshi, telling him that there is no time for napping, since he is the one who calls the match in, but Kureshi complains that he is tired and asks Narushima why he doesn't do it instead. Takuno tells Ohma that he will take anything he throws at him, including throws, holds and strikes. They both take their stances as Kureshi asks if they are ready, and reminds them of the rules. Observing Ohma's stance, Takuno knew that he would take a striking one. Kureshi then states that they both have 3 minutes and starts the timer. Thinking, Takuno knows that his strikes might not be less powerful than Ohma's, but his strikes are self-taught, so he doubts that they'll do much against Ohma in a frontal assault. Takuno states that he has to go for a full counter and plans to move in tandem with Ohma's first strike, so he can then hit him back with all his might. He also guesses that Ohma can only use techniques that disperses strikes when he's fully focused on defense, so Takuno plans to let him have the first move and stifle his technique. With his game plan set, Takuno states that he is going for broke and is betting everything on this first strike. He then rushes towards Ohma, and immediately receives a hard strike to the face, which leaves him disoriented, causing him to fall. However, he catches himself at the last moment, and suddenly rushes towards Ohma, grabbing onto his waist, while he pushes him back near the wall. Unfortunately for Takuno, his gamble didn't pay off as he falls unconscious. Ohma tells Takuno that he noticed he still tackled him after he fell unconscious, which he admits startled him for a moment. Both Lu and Toa are left stunned. Lu can't believe that Ohma knocked out Takuno with one punch, while Toa noticed that Lu was preparing for a counter, but Ohma moved quicker than Takuno could react. Toa now sees that the past 5 matches have been nourishing his rapid growth. Narushima states that he knew things would turn out like this. He tells Ohma that he is surprised by his rapid growth, so he decides that he will take things up a notch. Narushima Joji is one of the 3 strongest practitioners of the Rokushin Kaikan, the biggest full-contact karate institution in Japan. Ohma tells Narushima not to hold out on him, and come at him with everything he's got. Narushima admits that he's impressed by Ohma, and compliments him on fighting through the pain. He then states that he will be his final opponent out of the fiery 5 fights he's had. Ohma wonders if Narushima is still dragging out that joke. He reflects on his previous opponents, noting that they have been very tricky to deal with. However, he knows that Narushima will be the hardest to figure out, since even Wulong acknowledged his strength. Ohma knows that this fight will not be easy. Takuno finally wakes up after getting knocked out. He wonders what happened, guessing that he got knocked out. Toa tells him that he picked the right time to wake up as the fight is about to start. Kureshi asks if they're both ready, and then gives them the signal to fight. Narushima strikes first, but Ohma dodges by slightly widening the distance, which Narushima notices, and decides to get in close and start attacking. However, the sound of the strikes connecting with Ohma is off, which Lu notices, seeing that Ohma is neutralizing the power of Narushima's strikes. He knows that it doesn't matter how many strikes Narushima lands, because it will feel like he's hitting a brick wall. However, Ohma feels that something is wrong. He knows that he is diverting the power of Narushima's strikes but questions why they hurt so much. Kureshi knows why this is happening, calling it the touch of death, which is what Narushima is utilizing. He explains that Narushima is launching attacks that targets the opponent's pressure points with pinpoint accuracy, so even if someone were to neutralize the power of the strike itself, they'd still feel the pain. Ohma notices that he's in full contact range, and decides to create some distance. However, Narushima catches on to this and strikes Ohma with an overhead kick. Ohma realizes that Narushima hit him with a right, just when he couldn't divert the power, which makes him wonder how is Narushima pulling this off. In thoughts, Narushima states that all he knows is karate. Suddenly Ohma strikes him with a Nico-style adamantine kata, ironbreaker, but Narushima blocks this, and hits Ohma with an open palm strike to the chin, knocking him back. Narushima finishes his earlier statement, saying, "And that's why I'm pretty confident in my karate." Ohma admits that Narushima is tricky in a different way than kickboxing or Muay Thai. He knows that he's not going to beat him in a frontal assault in 3 minutes, so he plans to shift to his blind spot. Kureshi sees that Ohma has noticed Narushima's bad eye, as he attacks him from that angle. Narushima admits that he would have done the same thing by circling around to his left side where his vision is the poorest, which he thinks is a rational idea. But, since he anticipates this, he catches Ohma with a punch to the face, and follows up with a blow to his shoulder. This leaves Ohma confused, as he wonders how Narushima can see him despite his left eye's vision being poor, making him question what's going on with that eye. Lu assumes that Narushima has good vision in his left eye, but Kureshi tells him that is not the case, and states that Narushima's vision in his left eye is very poor, but it can see more than the average person. Takuno asks Kureshi to clarify his last statement about the secret to Narushima's left eye. Kureshi reveals that the reason Narushima's eye looks the way it does is because of an accident he got into while training in the mountains. In his 20s, Narushima got inspired by the manga named Karate Master and went into the mountains to train. While he was training, he encountered a wild bear that got aggressive and gouged his left eye out. He did manage to defeat the bear, but his left eye's vision has been permanently reduced since then. However, he adapted to this injury, developing the ability to see at a wider range that exceeds the average person's visual field in his left eye. This ability of his even rivals wild animals, which is a big asset in martial arts. He calls it the left eye of God. Toa is intrigued to know that Narushima's ability was a product of an accident, while Takuno is surprised Narushima's scar has such an interesting backstory. However, Kureshi corrects him, stating that Narushima actually got his scar from his wife when she scratched him in a marital dispute. Upon hearing this, Lu asks if his wife is a predator. Kureshi notes that getting past Narushima's eye will not be easy, so he wonders what Ohma plans to do about it. The narrator states that Narushima has no blind spots on his right side, as he strikes Ohma, coming in from the right. Narushima then goes for a calf kick which connects. But Ohma then gets in close and starts attacking, challenging Narushima's full contact style. Toa asks if Ohma is using karate, to which Kureshi confirms, stating that Ohma is maintaining full contact karate range. Kureshi then points out that Narushima's eye will not give him any advantage in that range. However, Kureshi knows that Ohma is challenging a full contact karate master at his own game and he's not even fast with it. He learns the hard way as Narushima grabs his shoulder and hit him with a sabaki outside roundhouse kick. Ohma endures the blow with indestructible, and admits to Narushima that he's impressed, knowing that most branches of full contact karate bar hits to the face. He continues, stating because of that, it centers on exchanges at extremely close ranges, resulting in techniques you don't see in other martial arts. Ohma compliments Narushima on his incredible talent, stating he's one of the best when it comes to striking. He then wonders how far his strikes will take him against an opponent on this level. Just thinking about it makes him eager to find out. Observing Ohma, Kureshi admits that Ohma is starting to scare him, as he watches him using Narushima like a textbook. Ohma and Narushima pause for a second, but then immediately rush toward each other. Ohma continues to attack Narushima at a close range, while Narushima puts up a defense. Suddenly, Narushima uses his foot to stomp on Ohma's thigh, and follows up with another kick to Ohma's leg. But as soon as Narushima's foot makes contact with Ohma's leg, he twirls around, leaping into the air, and unleashes his Nico-style redirection kata, entanglement strike, kicking Narushima in the chest. Narushima staggers for a moment, but quickly reacts as Ohma follows up with a Nico-style adamantine and flame kata, flashing steel smash. Suddenly the stopwatch goes off, ending the match. Narushima managed to block Ohma's punch. Noticing Ohma's strategy, he states, I saw that you lured me into a position where I couldn't dodge an attack even if I saw it coming. Now that's a nifty strategy. Ohma responds, I think I did well against you for 3 minutes, but I wouldn't call it a nifty strategy. I'll make sure to win next time around. Kureshi tells Ohma that he has made it through 5 rounds, and asks if they had helped them. Ohma tells him they did, and now knows what he needs to do. Now that the session is over, Narushima states that it's time for the after party and calls Ryuki and Koga to invite them, but the phone rings to voicemail. Narushima assumes their phones died, suggesting that Kureshi calls them, but Kureshi tells him it wouldn't make a difference. Ohma remembers that Koga and Ryuki went off to the Kure clan to train, which is the reason why they didn't answer their phones. The scene shifts to them getting jumped by Kure clan members. This is where I'll end things off, but let me know what your thoughts about these fights, and how strong do you think Ohma will get in order to face Shen Wulong. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, as we're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. Until then, have a nice day or night.